The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply. USAA.
Vitamin Water was born in New York because New Yorkers wanted more. Like more flavor to go with all the flavor. A refreshing drink after climbing 6 flights of stairs to a walk-up apartment, or standing in the subway station in 100-degree heat. Focus when I have an 8-hour shift. And Triple X after I was out all night at a club. Call Triple X. Drink vitamin water. It's from New York.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay. With experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Coaching Youth Hoops Podcast.
They're playing basketball.
Basketball. Here's our hosts, Steve Collins. And Bill Flitter.
Coach, we got to come up with a song for Hump Day. Is there a Hump Day song? There's got to be.
I'm sure there is.
Wednesday.
Absolutely. It's one of those songs that probably stick in your head, right? If you heard it.
Jessica Black and the Friday. It's Friday. Anyway, I make my kids listen to that sometimes. We're very excited about what's happening on Wednesdays. We're adding an extra day for a time being. This is a beta version. So why don't you explain to everyone that's listening and they're going, why is Coach Bill and Coach Steve on Wednesdays? So why don't you explain what's happening? I'm supposed to be
listening to Smart List right now.
I know. I don't have enough time, Coach. I know.
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt your regular programming, but we are bringing you something awesome. If you're a parent and have athletes, we're launching a new podcast. As Steve mentioned, it is a pilot. So give us your feedback. You can email Coach Bill at coachingyouthhoops.com with any comments you have. Like it, thumbs up, thumbs down. Here's what I want to hear. But it's going to be for you parents so you can raise healthy athletes. Anything from nutrition to mental health, how to work with coaches, what to say to your kids.
Well, I like the one that I sent to you to listen to was the one on why kids give up sports. You know,
yeah, I mean,
I always tell my
why they give up sports.
I know.
How we can
tell my
support
youth
them
coaches.
during this. Yeah,
go ahead. See, we're not very good at this. I tell my coaches that you don't want to be the last coach, right? You don't want a kid to ever quit. So it's like, how do you do that? I think that was I couldn't stop listening to that one. So
yeah, so tune in. There's we have right now we have queued up about 7 new podcasts on Wednesday. Again, give us your feedback. We want to hear. Do we continue? Do you like what you hear? We may break it out into a separate podcast, but it is for parents with athletes. They don't have to be basketball athletes. The content is pertains to all athletes. We even have one on getting recruited, which I know is a big subject, especially with older players. So how do you do that? So
all right, let's head off to the podcast.
Tune in every Wednesday.
Right. Let's head off. Bye.
All right, so you want to know more about supporting young athletes, right? Well, you came to the right place. We're about to take a deep dive into this and unpack some pretty fascinating research.
Absolutely. And I think listeners will be surprised by some of the things we've uncovered.
Yeah, for sure. For example, did you know that something like 70% of kids quit organized sports by the time they're just 13 years old?
Wow.
70%. That number kind of blew my mind, to be honest. Really makes you stop and think, what's going on here? What are we missing?
Yeah, it's a pretty staggering statistic when you think about it. And I think it speaks to a much larger issue we're seeing today, this immense pressure surrounding youth sports.
You're right. It's not just kids getting bored and moving on to other things. There's more to it than that.
Right. Just to give you an idea of the scope of this, by 2023, the youth sports market was projected to be worth a staggering $41.2 billion.
Wow.
That's billion with a B.
Wow. That's a whole lot of pressure to perform.
Exactly. And it's not just about the money, of course. When you have that kind of focus on performance, it can take a toll on kids' mental health. And we see that manifesting in a lot of different ways. Anxiety, burnout, even depression.
That's such a critical point. We can't lose sight of the fact that these are still kids, and their well-being has to come first, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
So we're talking about a pretty serious issue here. What can we do to shift gears a little? How do we start to create a more positive and supportive environment for these young athletes?
Well, I think a big part of it is taking a more proactive approach to support. Instead of waiting for problems to arise, burnout, anxiety, what if we focused on building a really healthy foundation from the get-go?
Proactive support. I like the sound of that. So we're not just talking about intervening when things go wrong, but actually creating that supportive environment right from the start.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
It might sound incredibly simple, but I think a lot of it boils down to just remembering the fun factor. Yeah. Sports, at their core, should be enjoyable, especially for kids, right? It shouldn't just be about winning or losing. It's got to be about that pure joy of movement and the camaraderie, being part of a team and just the thrill of playing the game.
You're hitting on something really important there. It's easy to get so caught up in the competitive side of things, especially as adults, right? Maybe reliving some past glories, no judgment here. But kids need that space to just be kids, to actually enjoy themselves.
Right, and sometimes that means exploring different sports. We hear so much these days about early specialization, but what if kids, tried a bunch of different things before going all in on just one?
Okay, so we're not pushing kids to become the next Tiger Woods at age 5.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, look at someone like former Olympian and Coach Dan Walsh, for example. He's a 2-time Olympic rower.
Wow.
Yeah, but he actually started out as a wrestler.
Really?
Yeah, but an injury cut his wrestling career short.
Oh, wow.
So could you imagine if he had been pushed to specialize in wrestling too early on? He might have never discovered this passion for rowing and gone on to achieve those Olympic dreams.
That's a fantastic point. It's like that saying, bloom where you're planted. But in this case, it's more like row where you're launched. Okay. Bad jokes aside, the takeaway here is pushing that specialization too early on can really limit a child's potential. And their enjoyment, too. It kind of makes you rethink how we approach this whole idea of talent development in general.
Absolutely. And along those lines, I think one of the most powerful things we can do as parents and as coaches is actually incredibly simple. We need to get better at listening to young athletes.
Listening?
Yeah. Instead of always dictating what they should be doing or how they should be feeling, what if we just created more space for their voices to be heard?
I hear you. It's about understanding their motivations, their dreams, their challenges, really making them feel seen and heard.
Exactly. And sometimes it's even about what we don't say. There's this quote by sports psychologist Kay Porter that really stuck with me. The biggest complaint kids have is that parents talk too much.
Oh, wow. Ouch. That one hit close to home. I know a few parents, myself included sometimes, who could definitely stand to listen a little more and talk a little less. We get so caught up in giving advice or dissecting every play, but sometimes what they really need is just a listening ear, someone who's there for them no matter what.
That's it. And this also ties into another really important point. Development isn't always linear. Some athletes are late bloomers, and that's okay.
Hold on, are you saying there's still hope for those of us who peaked in high school gym class? I'm just kidding. But seriously, tell me more about this late bloomer advantage.
Well, think about what Dan Walsh was saying about Olympians. They represent like a tiny fraction of all the athletes out there, right? Reaching that level of competition takes immense dedication, resilience, all those qualities that often take time to develop. Just because a young athlete isn't dominating their sport at age 10 doesn't mean they don't have the potential to achieve amazing things down the road. It's about nurturing that love for the game, right? And helping them develop those essential qualities that lead to long-term success, both on and off the field.
Wow, this has been really insightful. We've talked about the pressure, the importance of keeping things fun, listening to our kids instead of lecturing them and embracing those late bloomers. But how do we actually put all of this into practice? We need some practical strategies here.
You're absolutely right. It's not enough to just talk about the challenges. We need actionable solutions. And luckily for us, the experts have some great advice. Kay Porter, who we mentioned earlier, offers some really helpful do's for parents. And the first one, and this might seem obvious, is let kids choose their sport.
That seems like a no-brainer, right? And yet I've seen it so many times where parents are really pushing their own athletic dreams on their kids.
Oh, yeah. It happens all the time. And it rarely ends well. She also emphasizes the importance of showing respect for coaches, which is huge, and celebrating even the small wins.
Absolutely. Little victories go a long way. You know, one of the things that really resonated with me from the articles was this idea of allowing kids to make their own mistakes. There was this really interesting question. When your child makes a mistake, ask what they think they could have done differently.
Oh, that's so good.
Right. Isn't that a great way to approach it?
It totally changes the perspective. Instead of blame and shame, it's about reflection and learning.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about letting kids choose their path, respecting those coaches, celebrating the small wins, allowing for those mistakes. What about those post-game conversations? Because those can be kind of tricky to navigate sometimes.
Oh, they can be tough. But psychologist Larry Lauer gives some great advice on this. First and foremost, be a source of support, not a critic. This is a time for your kid, not a coaching session.
So resist that urge to dissect every single play.
Exactly. Sometimes the best thing we can do is just be there for them, offer a hug, and let them know we're proud of their effort. And active listening is key here. Just create that safe space for your child to process their emotions and share their experience, without interruption or judgment. And here's a big one. Avoid comparing them to other athletes.
Oh, the comparisons.
Yeah, like, well, so-and-so scored 3 goals today. It's never helpful.
Never.
And Lauer also emphasizes the importance of just being honest and sincere in these conversations. Kids can see right through false praise. It means so much more to acknowledge their effort and their resilience, even when things don't go their way.
You know, what I'm taking away from all of this is that supporting young athletes, it's about so much more than just the sport itself. It's about nurturing their well-being, fostering that love for the game, and building those essential life skills that go way beyond the playing field. Resilience, teamwork, discipline, learning how to push through challenges, how to bounce back from setbacks. Those are invaluable lessons that will serve these kids well no matter what they pursue in life.
Couldn't agree more. It's about the whole package, not just the scoreboard.
And that's our deep dive for today. We hope this conversation has given you some food for thought and some practical tools to support those young athletes in your life. Thanks for joining us.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.